Hello, all my health gurus, my members. I hope you guys are having a good holiday season kickoff, I guess. So here we are talking about detoxifying. So I'm going to go into a little bit more specifics. You should watch the first one and read through that initial blog, but this is kind of a follow-up to that. So timing, if you're someone who is highly toxic or in a highly toxic environment, detoxing a couple times a year is beneficial and helpful for you. Doing things, when I'm talking detox, we can do the SP detox, which is doing where you're doing a shake. You're doing specific plant-based foods, which comes with a guide of showing you how to do all that. Or you're doing the GAPS diet, where you're taking a week where you're only having the bone broth itself, and then you're slowly adding in foods. Along with that, depending on your toxic loads, doing the metal free and doing the SP detox plus the gastro fiber, all is helping the body to convert and pull things out of tissue, helping the body to lower inflammation, remove toxins from specific things. The fibers do a lot to help with liver pulling things out of the body. So when you guys are coming in for scans or you're doing the Zyto Link scans, it's going to highlight what your toxicity factors are coming from. It can be from bacteria, which bacteria is responding also usually to chemicals and stressors in the environment and things like that. You can have glyphosate, you can have heavy metals, pesticides, insecticides. When it's showing and you're continually seeing those things popping up on your scans, these are indicators that we need to detoxify. Sometimes I'm looking first at those if the kidneys, the liver, and the gut and how they're doing so that they can detoxify. When we have toxins that we're taking in, it overwhelms and weakens the liver, the kidneys, the gut. And so those things have to be working well before we start pulling and removing toxicity. Your foods are huge as to if you're redoing those. Oftentimes, people who are on a high plant-based diet are bringing in a lot of pesticides and a lot of the glyphosate. If you're not sourcing your animal foods, you're also doing that. So, quality of your foods is where to start. Making sure you're getting the right things in the organic, how your containers and such are holding. You're going for glass more than you are for plastics. Instead of cans, also glass. Doing things in stainless steel, glass, staying away from plastics as much as possible, getting rid of nonstick so that we're not getting that breaking off into our foods. Aluminum foils, plastics that we put on to hold and contain foods. I'm trying to think in my head. Things like those, hitting that first and eliminating those as much as possible or during the process of detoxifying is important. When you have, for most of you, you're probably parents and your children are starting to have kids. So I would highly encourage any children preparing to have kids to do a detoxification, both mother and father. Mother can't really detoxify if father is taking in an abundance of toxins because he's going to keep sharing them with her and they're going to carry the load together. So it's important for both, even for you, if you're trying to detoxify, having your spouse detoxify with you, because you can't fully get rid of the bacteria, you can't fully get rid of the heavy metals and all the things if they're bringing that all in. Believe me, my husband is in the industry where he is exposed to things all the time. So I try to assist him to detoxify so he's not sharing them with me. So, spouses, kids who are getting ready to have kids, encouraging them to go through a detoxification program. It's not always just about pulling things, but also feeding. I just listened to a book called Toxic Solutions, and he talks a lot about making sure that the organs are nourished and healthy themselves before we start pushing them to flush. And I think this is a big part of where most detox programs do not have ways of supporting that. They're all just going in and pulling. With standard process, the immuplex is feeding all your detoxifying organs. There are glandulars in there that we do. There are proteins. Proteins are highly important for converting and getting rid of toxins, but also supporting the organs to be healthy and nourished so that they can flush and do what they need to. So having the right kind of foods and sourcing, which I try to talk to you guys all when you're coming in for your appointments. But if you have any questions, let me know. If you're doing high plant-based diets, important to source organic, how things are contained, where they're coming from. If you're getting Mexico or China food, both of those are highly toxic, even if they're quote unquote organic, because they really don't meet the qualifications for that. And how they're being grown and stuff like that is different. If you're getting, excuse me, if you're getting foods like butter, you're getting grass-fed butter, but you're getting it in that aluminum foil wrap. That wrap has certain toxins that it's putting into the butter, and then you're eating it, and it's a fat. So then you're also pulling in fats and storing them. When things are coming in through the fat, they're harder, they take longer to get rid of. So making sure that you're getting brands that are taking into consideration of their storage and processing and all of that as well, because that is important. And don't try to, again, do it all at one time. You guys should definitely be the ones using the EWG and Think Dirty app, which, so EWG is the green, and the Think Dirty looks kind of like a Kind bar. If you ask me, the Kind bar wrappers kind of looks like that. Anyway, both of those apps are helpful with you when sourcing like your things that you're putting on your body, cleaning products, even foods. They can be helpful with that too. They're going to tell you what are the better things. So when you're out shopping, it's a great thing to pull out. If you don't want to focus on like, okay, I already have these things, but I'm going to use them till they're gone, that's fine. But then when you're going back to buy new things, do some research before you go shopping and find the ones. Like I just went to Costco to buy butter, and I didn't know. I know Kerrygold at Costco comes in the aluminum, but they have another grass-fed one, and I didn't know if it would, and I could open it, but I thought that's kind of dishonest to open it up, and then they lose money on it. So I thought, okay, I'll buy it, and if they're in that aluminum foil, I'll just make sure I don't do that again. But then I know I normally go to like Harmon's or Walmart and buy it in the sticks where it's kind of more in like the parchment paper. But anyway, I bought it, brought it home, and sure enough, yes, it's all in the aluminum foil. So really buying butters at Costco, they don't have a brand that does it where they're not in that big chunk and in the metal-like wrap foils. Those aluminum foils have toxins in them, and when your butter's sitting in there, it's absorbing it. So anyway, it's a lesson learned. We can all help encourage and teach each other. When I find things out, I try to share it, but not always does that mean everybody's going to be listening. So another thing that you can do when sourcing your food and trying to detoxify is definitely making sure that Dirty Dozen, you're always getting it organic. When people are going out to eat, I'm telling them, if that's on the Dirty Dozen list, don't order at a restaurant. Find something that's not, or go to your meats and such too. Ask them to cook your meat in butter if they can. A lot of times they will, but I mean, you're just trying to. Glyphosate is one that comes, and then there's certain other toxins, arsenics that come in with like rice and different things like that. So sourcing it appropriately is just very important. So knowing that, and like I said, if you guys don't have the little card when you come into my office, make sure you get one, because knowing that, and also I have on here all these other things for sourcing and things to think about when you're buying products, how you want them to be stored or what containers, what things make a difference. So it's kind of a shopping guide plus the Dirty Dozen Clean 15 I have on there. I just cut this little part off. I have one in my purse as well that you can just fold and cut right there and put it in your wallet. And you have it with you. And any questions, you know. So you're just doing the best you can with that. So, okay, let's say you're someone who has a lot of heavy metals. Obviously, we probably talked about doing the zinc. Zinc can help pull some of that. Garlic is another food that can help with heavy metals itself, but also sweating. So if you're someone who has a lot of issues with heavy metals, getting into a sauna or hot bath to sweat those things out is helpful, but make sure you rejuvenate yourself with minerals and such there. Now, glyphosate, if you have high levels of glyphosate, a lot of you I may have done this with, doing the metal-free cleanse for a month, a couple times a year, I highly recommend. It's everywhere, even those of us trying to be proactive getting out of there. Some of us are just breathing it in. But also look at if you're spraying it or if you're buying the right organic foods. Those are also things. Chlorinated things. So your flours, your breads, getting in a pool often, hot tub, you're going to get a lot of chlorination from there. Fiber and supporting the liver to filter those things out of the bloodstream. Iodine is also another way. If you're someone though that has thyroid issues, if the thyroid's breaking down, we want to protect that thyroid and then we want to boost that with the iodine to be able to filter things. But proteins are huge too if the thyroid's a factor. Getting those in. Gut, supporting gut. Everybody, it's beneficial to do every so often a gut cleanse. Whether that is pulling back from the processed foods, whether that's doing a full GAPS cleanse, whether that's doing the SP detox itself, any of those, or even just boosting up things to help the body to detoxify. But when you're doing it in the detoxification, pulling back on the things that you use as treats and things like that is important. People that tend to drink or have a lot of pain medications they're taking, you really want to help support this too, because that is really putting a heavy load on the kidneys and the liver and your gut bacteria. Limiting and doing something better, finding a pain medication, doing like the white peony or white willow or white or turmeric. All those are different options. Boswellia. There's also blends that you can do that can help with a lot of the pain situations. Um, Things that can help support liver. Liver greens, beets, coconut oil, the MCT oil specifically. The fibers can help a lot with that. Antronex, andrographis. If you need protection, you're doing the is it the hepatrophin? Sorry, for some reason that went out of my mind. Choline is if you're having excess sugar, scrubbing that off. But usually choline we will also want to pair with berberine because there's a bacterial factor that can impact that. Phosphatidylcholine, which standard process doesn't have, it has just the choline itself. But phosphatidylcholine is something too that you can get. I was trying to get a brand and I haven't gotten a response yet, but I was trying to get a brand in that I liked how they were doing the phosphatidylcholine itself. A lot of them, how they're manufacturing isn't necessarily great, so I just prefer to do the choline. But choline helps a lot with breaking things down fat-wise and flushing it out. We're coming to kidneys and detoxifying the kidneys. Ginger is great. Ginger chews, ginger in your food, beets, beets greens, things that help with microcirculation. Blueberries are very good, but remember, blueberries need to be organic. You're supporting and boosting blood flow with a lot of these. So Arginex, Rena food are very helpful. Acecarbamine, if it's blood flow of the micro or like the osmotic fluid, retaining water. Gotu kola, ginkgo, those are also helpful for that and can really support the kidneys themselves. Gut. Again, kind of talked about that. Your fermented foods, your protein, glutamine, fiber, as long as it's not a leaky gut, can help with kind of pulling excess gunk out and helping the body to detoxify. Doing GAPS, again, doing the SP detox itself. There's a 10-day and a 21-day. You can do a shorter one, or just doing something to and eliminating like processed foods and different things like that. There is on the toxic solution, he's recommending doing water, distilled slash I don't recommend you do high amounts of distilled. Distilled can, however, pull heavy metals out of the body, like for people who've taken a ton of medication and there can be things in your actual tissue. Distilled pulls a lot of things out. But when you're doing distilled, you only want to do, no, I would say no more than half your body weight in distilled, or even a quarter, I guess, more so of distilled. And then you're going in and doing the filtered water but has the spring water, or filtered water that has things put back in it so it's alleviating, but making sure you're getting, he recommends doing for 2 weeks 4 liters of water, so you're boosting up. You do have to have hydration to be able to filter those things out, but minerals will be important, so get your spring water and your electrolytes in as well. And then you're also doing cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous are the bitters. They're helping to force the body into a cleanup and look for things and help the body to remove it. Not to mention, they're helping with the phase of turning fat soluble into a water soluble, so liver and kidneys can flush things out. Sticking to the dirty dozen, all in organic, eating all organic foods. He actually recommends not doing proteins for the first 2 weeks and then adding back in the protein, because I don't know that I agree with this, maybe not doing as high a protein, because proteins are very, very, very key in helping you metabolize and flush things out. So if you're doing protein, quality proteins, making sure that it is quality meats, grass fed, pasture raised, and maybe stick more to like the beef. The chicken can be so industrial, and it's really hard to find quality pasture raised chicken to buy easily. Most of the places you'll get organic, which organic is great, but when they're doing organic, that means they're doing a feed, and oftentimes that's corn and soy that they're feeding it. And you really, neither of those are necessarily great, even if they're organic, especially soy. So a lot of these things kind of combine to different factors, like the chlorine factors are binding to your hormone receptors, and that can have a lot of negatives. Even the plastics, the BPAs, your proteins and such are getting bound by those. So getting new protein in, quality protein. For those who don't like to do a lot of the protein meats and you're wanting to do the detoxification with the cruciferous, the boosting the water, doing like your bone broth, quality organic bone broth, and then doing like I really do, so Body Health was the initial one I was working with, but they have now done a new line that's called LifeWorks. That's a pro line for someone like me. And so it has plain flavors and some citrus and kind of different options there, but more of the plain. You can add that to any drink and it's boosting up the proteins for the body to flush. If you're someone who's taking the tablets, I don't think there's much difference. Just saying, the pricing's the same itself. It's just the pro line itself. So it is highly important that we are going through and supporting all these. Again, with it being the holiday season, I know a lot of people are not necessarily wanting to do that until after they're done with the holidays. But things that you can start with now are, get rid of your nonstick. It's Christmas. It's a great time to buy things for yourself. Get yourself some good stainless steel pans or cast iron. Get glass dishes for yourself. Remove the plastics that you're having. Find some good sourcing on the times that you're there. Make things from scratch. Show your kids or grandkids or spouse and children that how to make things from scratch. I do a lot of that anymore. I now make my kids do cooking, and we do my 23, my 23-year-old who's living with me while she goes to college. We do Sundays where we meal prep. I post this for you guys to see, where she's learning how to cook. She's learned a lot just in that time. I take her shopping. I show her how to source it. I show her how to make things. We're making our dressings from scratch. We're making and combining our own seasonings from the herbs that we're using. I actually have the organic green onions and we just rinse them and let them regrow. And so we just have them here and we can cut them up. And then I have like a basil plant that we have in the windowsill that we pull things off of. We've taken and made tomato soup from scratch, getting organic tomatoes. It's very yummy. It's very empowering to show them that you can have really good quality meals made from scratch. So I try to post those. If you guys have questions or want recipes, I'm trying also to put those up on my website. If you go there, you can look for recipes and it will show it. So, yes, I think that's it. So, I told you guys specific ones of what to do to help detoxify different things or different plans you can do to help support that detox. You can do that whenever, but also just focus on your environment. Focus on the scents that you're putting around. Use cinnamon. Use little glass containers to boil cinnamon sticks in to make this house smell good, or apple pieces, or oranges, or rosemary, the different things, and use essential oils rather than a bunch of perfumes. Make things from scratch and use and put them in quality dishes. So these are some things you can do just to make it better. Even with, we do a tradition of candy making. I have slowly but surely changed all the ingredients to organic ingredients. They're still sugar, but we're doing organic ingredients. Granted, some of the things we do Oreo walls. There's not much way of doing that in a real quality way. Even when you're buying quality, there's just stuff in there. But our caramels, our, oh, what else do we make? Nut brittle, all that. I'm finding organic ingredients and ingredients that actually have some nutritional value to it. And if nothing else, that the body can use and get rid of, so it's not hanging out in the tissue and causing inflammation because there's a bunch of toxins mixed into it, or high fructose corn syrup that is stuck being filtered over and over through your liver itself. So these are just simple things you can do to help the body detoxify and have less of a load, and you can stay on track with your health. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I will talk to you guys later.